Bismillah, 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 Bismillah. Bismillah. There are three issues which I wanted to share with you people. And these are very topical and very important at the time we're living in. One of them is the issue of personalities and individuals, or patriarchs, or messengers, or apostles, all of this. People around the world have had different cultures and became habituated differently. And anything that exists carries with it the desire of habit, no matter what it is. It has in it a touch of that heavenly memory, which is continuous. This is one of the great mysteries in this world. Anything that exists has in it the drive to continue. Same thing as a bad thought. Hate, love, any of these things has in it the habit of continuing. Because truth is ever constant, not in time. But you and I are living in time. So in the case of the Abrahamic tradition, it was very much based upon personalities. If you think of that area of West Asia and around the Mediterranean, it was relatively easy to live. There were still some trees and seeds and things. So emerged in that culture, maybe as of 20,000, 30,000 years ago, people who had more access to the unseen or intuition. And they were the people who helped those around them also to survive and continue rather than be extinct. So over a period of maybe 20, 30, 40,000 years, the memory in people was that if you have a good leader, you will do well and you live well and there's goodness for you. So the issue of individuals and the idea of a Rasool or an apostle and so on developed very much in that area. Whereas the rest of the world, far more in terms of population and what happened to them later, it was not based on a person. It was based on a message. That's why with Hindus, thousands of rishis, you hardly hear about. The great event lately also in the East, Vietnam. Why have the Vietnamese people, after all of these miserable attacks by the Westerners, emerged as being probably amongst the most likely to emerge even better and more than they are? Where is the hatred? Where is the bad? What happened? The story of Buddhism in Vietnam is simple. None of you know it, but I'm giving it to you very simply. Buddhism in Vietnam emerged over something like 2,500 years, since the time of Buddha, through masters and individuals, probably no less than 80 of them. Every 30, 40 years, somebody emerges there to give them a slight update of whatever is beyond time, without leaving so much of a name behind, without leaving, I am this guru, I am this. It was like that. So the teachings, if you like, the Buddhistic teachings were ever fresh and not based on personalities. And this is their birthday and we have to celebrate and we are the fortunate people. He is our prophet, he is one of us, he is our tribe, he is a Qurayshi or whatever. It was nothing like that. Anyway, this is one issue I wanted to share with you. The issue of personality is a cultural one. And much larger number of population in the world went for the idea, went for the principle, went for the basic issue as to what is this awareness of life. And that's all what it is. It's just awareness of life. You don't have life. You have awareness that you are alive, and you're not if you are in a coma, and you're not if you are under anesthesia. You're not aware. Now, this is a very important issue to bear in mind. Personalities were vital for people to be together, to have trust, to eulogize, to emulate, to learn the conduct of. You see? It's a very important thing. If you're completely from the jungle and you have no idea as to how best to behave, how to sit, how to wait, how to talk, so you say, look, follow me, learn from me, and do it as you. So the issue of imitating or following a teacher or a master and so on is deep in our psyche. It's coming to a point where, because of the second issue I wanted to share with you, the rise in consciousness. This is a huge issue. And most people, as they get older, they don't realize it. Because they are set in that mold. This is what we did, and this is what my parents did, and this. So what? There is a rise in consciousness, not only for human beings, also for the rats and the mice. And there is morphic resonance. There are dozens of other factors that consciousness has risen more and more and more. And the Quran tells you, وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. And to the master of it all is the end of it, because it's the same as the beginning. None other than that cosmic light. So if you make allowance for that there is a constant rise across the board and therefore depth in consciousness. The young people don't need to be hammered in 1,000 times like this. Now, what happens with the young people, they are destroyed because of distraction. Too much of information, as you say. Too heavy a burden, information overload. Therefore, no transformation. Too much of a jumble, and nobody knows where to, so that everybody is in a daze. This is the serious global sickness we are in. Now, the truth of it is that it is not information you're after. It's continuity you're after. It is not connection you're after. It is the continuity, timelessness you're after. Watch out, wake up. Consciousness has risen considerably. The new generation has potential far more than the previous one. Therefore, the pitfall and their destruction also can be far quicker, far more devastating as well. The third issue I just wanted to share with you, and this is also a global human issue, especially with religious people, especially the Abrahamic people, especially the Christians, and the Quran is also full of it. And we destroyed them. And they did this, that, and they were destroyed. If you listen even nowadays to any Western evangelist, they say, oh, we are going to be destroyed. God has decided we are going to be destroyed. So you're sinning, you're doing mistakes, God is going to destroy you. The Quran does not deny that God is also the source of destruction, but also reminds us that God is not revenging. There is no vengeance. It is you who condemn yourself through wrong thinking, wrong action, wrong... You are the culprit. وَمَا ظَلَمْنَاهُمْ وَلَكِنْ كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. And. كُلٌّ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Allah has enabled you as a silly child to have this choice and that choice and that, and without discrimination, without reference, without mirroring, you chose that which is going again to be your habit, more and more slipping until you're choked. We are doing it to ourselves. This third issue is vital because it's coming. I think we are fully into the irreversible process of the sixth extinction. And this is optimism. I'm cheerful about it. It is. Why? Because you know you're not who you thought you are. You are a light, you are a ruh. And if you don't practice that nowadays, even though there was no doom and gloom and extinction, whatever, you will still, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. You are insan, and therefore you are ending to nothing. You're going to die. So the essence of misery, sadness, depression is already there. And with old age, you are actually feeding that seed, no matter what. Unless you are living, you know, you are none of these, but these have touched you. Yeah, a bit of a father, a bit of a friend, or a bit of this, or different roles you play, that's all. But you are none other than that mysterious light which has within it the qualities of the entire cosmic, if you like, orchestration, which is a mystery of mysteries. So these are three very important issues you have to bear in mind. They are very much culturally related. And in the past, because people were collective, and they had a teacher, or they had an apostle, or they had a messenger, or whatever, you say, look here, if you are not careful, we are all going to be doomed. Which is also true. But because of the rise of consciousness, you have now moved more and more and more into the actual direct, condensed, if you like, atlas of reality. If you're lucky, if you have somebody who is a bit ahead of you, a teacher or something. But if not, it's already there. Times have changed. 2,000 years ago, almost every little village had somebody who was awakened. And on and on and on. Now, because of the rise of consciousness, because of the global connectedness, the whole world is tiny little dot floating in nowhere, one of zillions of galaxies and zillions and zillions of little planets. And here we make such a big fuss out of it. You took 1 meter away from my land and you remained for 20 years in court. There is total insanity. Really, it is not theory. Really. I'm very glad you had a good time here. You shared with each other in mirroring, and you also got a bit more also up to date with what the global situation is. And I'm very glad to be amongst you, and I'll be as glad, if not more, when I leave you. People trying to make sense out of it, everybody holding their little silly torch. All of it is true and none of it is true. Because all of it is in timelessness. And timelessness is ever there, in time, beyond time, before time, after time. So, very simple. You don't need 50 years in this school or that school. You're intelligent enough. If not, then leave quickly, because the world is changing. They only can deal with people whose IQ is not measurable. I remind you also there are these three stages. First is the usual mediocrity. All of us. Eat a bit more, eat a bit less, sleep a bit more, and all the time complain as you get older. And old age will see to it, you become more and more quiet. So it's the common. Up and down, good and bad, quiet and so on. Anybody with a bit of intelligence wants to excel. So it is doing better and better until you excel. Super. Not good enough. Not good enough. No matter how well you have cooked it, no matter how well you have talked it, no matter how well, not good enough. Because the ultimate truth is supra, not super. That is transcendence. You have to touch the zone which is beyond the box in which all of us are caught in, space and time. The second womb. And if you are not practicing midwifery to get yourself out of that womb because it's yours, your biography, your good and bad, your plus, the way you pronounce, the way you talk, the way, all of your phobias, it's yours. You have to be completely ejected out of that. If you are doing that, good luck to you. If you are not doing that, then you are just as mediocre as everybody else, but worse, because you think you are something special, because you've had, I am a spiritual person. These words will all be passé. Spiritual, enlightened, awakened, transcending, it's all words. They are barriers. Not 50 years ago, because the whole world was trying to get out of that really dreadful mediocrity of the emerging, if you like, so-called bourgeoisie. Mm-hmm. A husband and wife, and she's in her curlers waving to him, and 2, 3, 4 children. They're not making noise because they'll be taken. Who are you kidding? It doesn't mean you don't need a companion, doesn't mean you don't need somebody, doesn't mean you need help. All of that is there. But that illusion that she is going to save me and he is going to save me and we can't live with each other, stay 3 nights with their snoring and tell me. Who are you kidding? All this lie. No, we are inseparable. Terrible. Look at all the medical profession has trouble with identity, with twins that need to be separated. Now we are inseparable. We are imposing upon each other, and we are suffocating. But we have to smile because we went on, what is it, that miserable thing? Facebook. On Facebook we are together. Who are you kidding, Baba? Stop it, it's rubbish. There is only that cosmic light. From it, in a mysterious way, it caught on through the story of Adam. I hope one day, if I'm still up to it, I'm foolish enough to still talk. There are actually 8 different locations, but 4 main ones. The story of Adam in the Quran. You get it organized, yeah. We do it. There are 4 sections. It won't take more than an hour and a half. The story, but chronologically, because in the Quran it's not. It's just this and that and bit. But 4 or 5 of these areas, if you put them together, you'll find the whole story, mystery of mystery of mystery. Light of lights is touching some also amazing also energy of different darknesses together and emerge into this Adamic being. Maybe 40,000 years ago, maybe 50,000, we don't know, but it was that sort of thing. And then it emerged in its full effulgence at least 20,000 years ago, when people, as they emerged, collectively, groups, they began to worship together. And we have evidences, archaeological evidence, at least 12,000, 13,000, mostly in what is now southwest of Asia. We know that archaeologically there have been Stonehenge type of activities much earlier and earlier. These were mostly some sort of a celebration, pilgrimage. We like to celebrate. And most of celebrations are false, and they end up with lie upon lie upon lie. We had a wonderful time. Look at the picture. Meaning what? It's past. I don't like wonderful time that passes. I don't like that which is no longer permanently, perpetually affecting me, influencing me. Not acceptable. What is that celebration? Celebration is deep in our DNA. But you need to celebrate that which is eternal. Also beyond space and time. And that is the nur of Haqq. That is worthy of celebration. But otherwise, he's 1 year older. The fellow is decrepit now. For the last 10 years, it's been rubbish. All the time, just all what he wants is to talk about his illness or her illness. Now he's wise. Look at the children, they run away. Why aren't they having a good time? There's no fun. Or what he wants to talk about is, the degree of my blood sugar or whatever, or blood pressure. What. This is your little, cover of the snail. And even the snail is not what it is. It is the ruh in it. Wake up, people. Times are moving very fast and you're already left behind. Behind who? Behind your own illusion, which will only lead you to the worst conclusion. Wake up. How do you wake up? Constant reference to absolute silence. That is the original state before kun fayakun, before creation. There is a lot of religiosity. If you want to have ta'weez, ma'weez, whether there will be thousands of people. As poverty increases in the East, there will be more and more gurus exported. And more also, so to speak, men of whatever from Islamic thing. Until most of the mosque will be empty. But you'll find these people going around with the customers. Money, wealth, knowledge, they're all powers. Everybody's after power. Why? Because you're obsessed with the light of the all-powerful in you. It isn't power you want. That's going to slip you into your destructiveness. Back to the energy. The love of being with people who have money or power it is a tiny little reflection of the love of the all-powerful, whose light is the source of your life. Simple. If you don't do that, you've missed it, and so have 99.99999 of the population. So it's not important. But everything is very important. The real you is the most important. Who is the real you? It's a treasure that is beyond our ability to even discuss. It is life itself. Obsession with life itself is what we have been stamped with. Alastu bi rabbikum. Anyway, I've been quite pleased to be with you day before yesterday and even now. And as I said earlier, I'll be just as pleased, if not more, to leave you all. Because they're all shadows that are casting their own shadow again. Double shadow, triple shadow. But you are still amongst those who are definitely have touched a zone that hurts, the pain of ignorance and darkness and distraction. And you are, by your DNA, wanting the zone that is beyond joy. That is the nature of your own soul. So therefore, I'm quite happy to be there. As I said, happier when also, hopefully, you've had a good revision of your own state. And be honest. And find few people with whom you can maintain that honesty. It's very helpful to have somebody to whom you can really, truly reveal the innermost. Unless you empty your heart, the light within your own heart, which is your own soul, will not shine. So find someone who will act as your dustbin and talk to them. Confess. I really thought I was more important. And laugh at yourself. Without humor, you will not be relieved. It has to be spiritual humor. Otherwise, it's a mimicking, it is clowning. Thank you, Sheikh Muslim. I'm delighted you're here. I truly love you and respect you and happy to be with you anytime. And wish you the best. And I hope and pray more and more people around you and more people around anybody else who want to contribute without having to be put on a pedestal. Because that will ruin them. So if you have somebody who's teaching you ahead of you a bit more, respect them and so on, but don't build it too much, because the fall will be even greater, worse. Watch out for that. Religious or spiritual arrogance is the worst. And again, I thank everybody who made these things possible for all of you. We have an ambience here which has been created over the years. It's very pleasant. It may last, it may grow into more, or it may fizzle out. Either, any one of them can happen. But I just wanted to acknowledge that Each one of you is taking some steps until such time you go beyond super steps into supra. There's no steps, there are no way, no ladders to go. There's only go. Good luck to you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. Thank God for the Supra. If it was only the Supra, I would have taken him as another teacher, another guru. Acknowledge that, honor that as a human. But you are human and the light of the divine. So who is talking? Thank you for being here. And I hope and pray that Yusuf will also get well. There's one more little bug in me, which is the book I'm hoping to do with Yusuf. Book of Guidance. This is exactly what you were talking about, but made universal, simple. But you need to unpack it. I don't want it more than 150 pages. It is my project with Yusuf. That's it. It's already there, everything, but we make it into a little compact. Majid knows that's the question of putting flowers together. So a bunch is very important. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shall we do the Fatiha together? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheikh.
Now go. Alhamdulillah. How was Almas? All right. You've forgiven God for not obeying you. You know, it's another funny thing about the Muslims. You know, the Quran says, ask me and I'll answer you. Find me one person who tells you, I've asked and I will always answer. Now find out why. What does it mean? The Quran says, Is'aluni. Why isn't it like that? Then God is not like that. But what does it mean then, the ayah? They don't question, they don't dive into it, they're not in total connectedness, you see. So that's why there's a lot of superstition and a lot of rubbish, a lot of sickness. Thank God for Sheikh Muslim. Allah. I could almost imagine him sometime. There are a lot of people, a lot of things. He suddenly captures the time that he was completely in wilderness. It will be with you also. It's the same as there already. Surrounded by shadows. It's changing rapidly, rapidly, rapidly. 50 years ago, there was a lot of noise, a lot of people thinking, a lot of. And then they started building these enormous mosques. I mean, you are not worthy head of state unless the mosque you have built is at least $1 billion and more. That's how it is. Also, you need to have a national anthem. You need a national bird for the country. You need a mother of the nation, and also some decrepit idiot you have to find as a father of the nation. There has to be mother and father, and nice, and they go to school together. What childishness, really. After all these thousands of years, you're still in that stage? No. Really? And the interesting thing is, if you really want to have fun on that, go to some of the Buddhistic countries, you'll find greater fun. Especially, for example, North Korea. Just in the last 40 years, how many of them have been declared as the father of the nation forever? Eternal father of nations. And then the ultimate, what's it, in the armed forces, the chief of forever, is eternal, head of the eternal. Everybody is eternal. We are such fools. That's why I say the natural consequence now, the ultimate, is the extinction. It has to be. We are extinct anyway. Find me one person who you really genuinely know he or she is cheerful, irrespective. Irrespective. Find me one person, I'd like to meet that person. Not because of something or another. I mean, in my case, often when there's nobody around, I'm quite cheerful. But, you know, because what on earth, these people, they're abusers of oxygen. Really. You have to be real, be honest, be real, and you'll find you'll be amongst real people. Otherwise, you're all the time more and more with fake people. All of it is fake, and then we complain about fake news. You are the fake news. Really laugh. Hello, Harun. In the past, Harun used to have a bit of pity on me. He would remind me enough, but not anymore. He's now stopped doing it. Bismillah. Hello, Majida. It's all your fault. You sat under that tree and you called. The tree is gone now.
And I'm still here.
And you're still here. And I'm still here. Isn't that better? Isn't that wonderful? No tree, no call, no. Truth is there wherever. All your job is to go away from the falsehood that you invented. It is your darkness. And everybody has their own darkness together. Wonderful time we're living in. Everyone is unique and everyone is the same. Isn't that amazing? You don't need that. The bio-identity situation, whether it's fingerprint or your eye, is done. And yet people say, no, we want privacy. Privacy of what? Everything is known. What are you going to do? No privacy. Thank God. No privacy. Finished. What is there? You're a hulk of mess with a light in it. Poor light. Really poor soul. Poor spirit. What have you done? Bismillah. Abdul Hadi, have you had a good time here?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Really?
Yes.
If you find some other people nicer, let me know. Because I want a fresh something.
Oh,
Would you do that? So maybe.
yes.
Maybe south of Okinawa. Something like this. Because in the past they used to say, you don't know. It was, what is the name of that fellow? Put an end to it. From Central Asia. That Armenian fellow went to Europe. Huh? No, he went there and he said, there were these old people on the mountains. You know him. Huh?
That Gurdjieff.
Gurdjieff, thank you. Yes, Gurdjieff. See, you are a woman of knowledge, Baba. You will stand up for people to follow. They'll knock you down, but you have a stick now. So okay. Knock them with a stick. You don't like anybody to follow. You will look for faults of whoever has taught you anything. Because you want to follow your own ruh. So you will find faults with whoever. It's part of your DNA. No, he is not complete. The complete meaning what? God. Well, there's only one. Where is he? Find him. Tell me. You will never, ever accept anything unless you look for the fault. Because completeness means timelessness. And timelessness is not the case of a human being. He will die. Not good enough. He promised me he will not die, but you did. Hello, Maggie. Wa alaykum salam. Thank you, I am better now that I see you. Really, a really decent, loving, hardworking, giving goodness human being. Maybe next life I'll try to be that. Yes. Really, you're very special. The rest of the people sit and talk and they think they are important. You are more important than them. I mean it, really. Thank you. Allah. We thank Allah who has given us that discrimination. Honestly. Bismillah. Allah. I'm glad Tahir is here. Have no fear, Tahir is here. You can always blame him. Allah. You'll be amazed how much the light of the truth of these great beings, especially Muhammad, is being discovered. But whoever discovers it also is all the time in fear and tragic also concern about the behavior of the so-called followers of Muhammad. Really. If you want more of that, secretly sit with Sheikh Muslim and maybe he say something. Secretly, because he's a courteous man. Doesn't want to disturb the status quo. Before even they greet you, they, what mother, what religion, what language, what language. They don't ask about that, which is the source of it all. They just want to look about the final, if you like, differences in the grains, the fruits, the color. This is the situation, Tahir. Allah, come along and we'll escape. But don't leave any traces behind because they'll find you. You have become a very, very useful and important person around. Really, I tell you. There's so much dependence on your correctness, on your justice, on your courage. Honestly. Truly, there are not many people who understand this, see it, and then appropriately. It's a very important thing to find people whom you trust enough to be able to also give judgment upon your situation as it is in specific cases. You will never find a prophetic being. You will find individuals whom you can trust. But enhance that by, at least you trust. If there is a dispute, you are willing to go to that person and his word is final. No argument. Everybody wants to argue. You know, you've been to mosques.
Wakil.
Huh?
Wakil?
To argue.
Yeah. About the person you trust.
Oh, no, these are also cultural terms. No, he's not my wakil. But if I have any issue, whatever, I'll go to you and say, please, you judge it and I accept whatever and don't tell me. You trust people, you trust few people. I trust Majid. Really. I trust Ibrahim. Really. Especially after a nice cup of coffee, he'll be far more, I'll first ask him, are you all right today? Have you had a breakfast? Have you had coffee? He say, yes. Bismillah, here it is. Hello, Ibrahim. We owe you a lot. You've been kind, considerate, generous, patient, honestly. Alhamdulillah. Has Zainab found the truth? Who brought her? Oh, it was, he escaped. He brought her and left Haidar. Yeah. Very clever. Clever young man. He promised them, he said, oh, there is something here in South Africa. What do you mean it was South Africa? Then it was not about North Pole. And the poor woman, she also said, I'm going to come to South Africa. No, you have to flow and follow whatever touches you and benefits you. Hello, Mukhlas. Are you still a Mukhlas? Nice man, Mukhlas. I don't know what he's doing in this world. Never mind, not very long. Another 60 years and so on. Don't get old, get younger. Remain ever fresh, and that is only by touching timeless. Younger than even the beginning. That is our story. Adam we must do. When? Oh, very sweet of you. I like that. That means I'm important. You know, somebody of his stature and all that is really.
I'd love to do that.
Soon, anytime. I think we make a special thing for a weekend. The story of Adam, the Adamic rise. It's a mystery. It's a brilliant. And to my mind, there is no better referencing than the Quran. Yalla Yunus, we put you to work. And Harun will be there also to encourage me. And what is this amazing event? It is rise of consciousness again. You see. For millions and billions of years, it was very basic. It was at the microbial level, and more and more. And then the time came for being able to transcend conditioned consciousness. That is the Adamic story. You accept conditioned consciousness. I want to keep alive, I am obsessed with life. But transcend that. That is the Adamic rise. Maybe Sheikh Muslim will come again. Any excuse. Alhamdulillah.